Hello and welcome to tonight's edition of Nzone Focus. Our special guest tonight is a woman who's been at the forefront of the social justice movement for decades. She was once described by former Prime Minister Jenny Shipley as impressive. And in terms of the number of bills that she's got through into law, she's probably the most successful non-cabinet MP ever. One of those bills was the anti-smacking legislation, which caused a furore, which is still to die down. She retired as a Green MP last Friday after a decade at Parliament. She's our only MP to have been arrested more than 30 times. She is, of course, Sue Bradford, and she's our guest today. Sue, welcome to the programme. Thank you very much indeed for taking
Thanks for
time
having
to join us. It was Pam Corkery who, after one term in Parliament, said that politicians are, by and large, far more self-deluding, devious, bloated, insecure and egocentric than she had feared. Was that your experience?
No. I mean, there are people there who shouldn't really be there, who don't know why they're there and who are wasting their party's time and the voters' time. But I think most MPs are pretty serious about what they're doing and why they're there. And one of the things I've really learnt from this experience is that a lot of people say a lot of really silly things about MPs, not doing the job, not being up to the job, just wasting time, and in most cases that's not true. It doesn't matter what party they're from, most people take the job really seriously.
Will you miss it?
Yes, I'm sure I will. It's been an amazing experience, and I feel very privileged to have had the opportunity to be a Member of Parliament for 10 years. It's a huge learning curve. You get to meet people and do things you'd never do in other walks of life. And of course it is a place of power, a place where you can try and influence events in ways you can't from outside. And I've relished the opportunity.
Was that why you went into it? Because, I mean, you had a long history of there was the people centres in Auckland, a long history of sticking up for people who had no voice. Really, was that a logical progression to go into Parliament?
Yes, of course it was, because it's what happened with the Green Party, of course. Well, after many years of trying to make political change from outside, from the streets of Auckland, from our unemployed rights centre and people centres here, from groups on the outside, I got quite sick of sometimes literally battering at the doors of Parliament and having no government, whether it was a Labour government or a national government, caring anything for what we were saying. We had no respect from the system, and in the end I thought, well, perhaps the only way I'm going to get that kind of respect and get the voice of unemployed people, of other people listened to, is by trying to go into that place. So that's what I did, and I haven't regretted that decision. And I honour the Green Party actually for having the courage to let a radical like me into their ranks in 1998, and the rest, as they say, is history.
It was a brave move on the Greens' part, because, I mean, your reputation. I mean, I was a reporter over at News Talk ZB and spoke to you lots of times while you were there. And it was always, you'd either just been arrested, or you were about to be arrested, or you were in trouble for something or other. I mean, you were a scary radical.
Well, I certainly see myself as radical. I've never seen myself as scary, because I'm not. But other people have certainly identified me in that way. And one thing I hope has happened from my 10 years in Parliament is that perhaps people will see me more realistically for what I am, which is not scary, but certainly radical. Yeah. And that hasn't changed.
I mean, the Greens are quite a radical party in lots of ways, in that I guess because they're not in power, they can actually stick up for what they believe in. Does that give you a certain amount of freedom, because you know that you can say what you believe and it's not going to have to be compromised because of the way government works?
I think there's a partial truth in that, and in the fact that when you're a smaller party, it's your job to be like a ginger group, really, and to push hard at the edges of the larger parties on the things you believe in. But I also think that we in the Green Party have tried to be realistic in our policies and in what we've put forward in Parliament. And just the very fact that I've had a number of private members' bills go through, but so have other Green MPs. Those bills in themselves are an example of how we're willing to compromise and work with other parties to achieve realistic goals. And, I mean, you don't achieve anything if you're too far out to the edge.
Because MMP's been very successful for the Greens. It's actually worked. And now we're talking about having a referendum to maybe ditch MMP. I guess you'd think that would be a retrograde step.
Oh, it'd be a real disaster for democracy in New Zealand to go back to a system where only one of the two major parties has the say over the 3 years between elections, and that's not moderated by any other proportional representation from the voters who don't vote for Labour or National, whether right, left or in between. All voices should be heard in the Parliament, and if we went back to first past the post, it would be a real undermining of democracy. And I think everyone can see how much fairer representation of New Zealand society we have now under MMP.
When Jeanette Fitzsimons left the leadership, the co-leadership of the Greens, were you disappointed that you didn't take her place?
Well, I've been really upfront about it over the last few weeks, and the reason that I've ended up standing down so early in this term of Parliament is because I lost the co-leadership. I didn't want to. I tried very hard to stay. I stayed for 5 months, but I was really unhappy, and I just have to acknowledge that not just losing the co-leadership itself, but what it said about how the Green Party felt and where it's going just meant that I became a little uncomfortable and felt that I was better placed now to look outside Parliament to what the next steps on my journey might be. And I'm really looking forward to that. Because politics is not just in Parliament, and I'm not leaving politics, and I'm not leaving working life because I've still got to earn a living. Contrary to popular opinion or public impressions, MPs who leave Parliament, my generation and later, don't get any kind of income after we leave Parliament, and we don't get any travel perks. There's nothing, which is fine. That's how it should be. But so I think some people have the idea that you sort of leave it and you just sit back and don't have to worry about it. But that is certainly not the case.
Are the Greens moving away from that social justice element of what has been quite a strong strand in their policies? Oh,
not at all. I think, in fact, the fact that I've left Parliament means that they're more determined than ever, that the party is very determined to keep the kaupapa of social and economic justice to the fore, because some people, of course, do think because I'm leaving that means the Green Party might be a little weaker on that side, but in fact it's the opposite, and I think we'll see a strengthening of it and a greater visibility rather than less.
OK, we'll take a break there and then we'll come back and chat some more. Our guest on the programme is, of course, Sue Bradford. We'll be back in a moment.